Hello, I'm Roman. Welcome back. As I promised in one of the previous videos that I'm going to record more these vlog stylish videos, I wanted to share what challenges that I'm facing and what's just going on. And from the previous vlog video, I want to share to continue share the things, and there are actually a couple of the updates from what I've been telling the last time. I already shared in the previous video, but I kinda shifting the careers. Not sure if it's a permanent shift or just temporary, but I'm digging into modern backend development. I actually have the backend experience. I started software engineering as the backend engineer before I moved into the iOS macOS development for multimedia apps, mostly like image, video, ML, and so on the devices. So I used to be a backend engineer, but it was like very long time ago. I mean, the landscape of the backend development changed significantly in terms of the used technologies. So what I'm doing right now is I'm digging into various different technologies and the frameworks, well, not frameworks, like system mostly, that I need to use in a very distant future. I mean, I have a list of some things, like for example, like the EKS, Terraform, Terramate, Helm, Argo CD, Prometheus, Route 53, ECS, Postgres, Redis, SQS, SNS, and I mean, I guess half of the AWS plus lots of the additional things. And the things that I mentioned right now is just what I discovered like in the past couple of weeks. But the interesting part that it's not like it's something very new to me. Like most of the things I worked with them in one way or another. So for example, I used to work with the Microsoft SQL servers and Oracle. Right now I just need to dig into the Postgres. I used to work with the IBM message queue and message broker. Right now I need to dive into SQS. I can find many alternatives, so it's not like I have to learn all the things from the scratch, but I rather need to quickly understand the new specific technologies. In order to do this, I think the best way that you can do something like this is to actually trying to build things, hands-on. For sure, I'm reading the documentation, I'm watching some videos, and that's actually where, for this specific case, the tutorials could be good, at least in the beginning, because I can get a grasp of the things, like for example, how to set up, recently I watched a tutorial how to set up Argo CD, because that's what we're using right now. I still have few questions, especially how you can get into something that's, to develop something like this or start using something like this. But more or less, like one video was enough for me to get a grasp of the system itself, not like the whole concept of GitOps and infrastructure as a code and all the things, because it's something interchangeable. The only question was for me to understand the specifics of the concrete technology. That's what I'm doing. It takes a lot of the time and energy because, the list is long. I'm trying not to do all the things at once, because considering the list of the things, I'm trying to go one by one. Sometimes it's hard because, one thing is connected with another, and you're trying to learn three different things all at once, or at least get a grasp of how it works. But yeah, if you know a better approach how to do this, I would be very welcome. Or if you know a very good materials. Because, for example, as I mentioned in the previous video, I actually started to read the system design interview book, and not to prepare for the interviews actually. The good part, I mean, in this particular case, reading the system design interview book gives an overview of very popular problems on the backend that's already solved. And it kind of shows you the high level design, like high level diagrams of how you can build, for example, a Google Drive, or how you can build a notification system on the backend. And again, I think this is a very good way to get a grasp of all of the things. Well, not all of the things, but get a grasp of many common things that you can find or you can face more or less, like in most of the things, I guess in most of the backend, in the modern backend, because my experience was very specific. I used to work in a banking, in the fintech as it's called. Specifically, I used to work with the payment card processing stuff, so it's a little bit specific part of the fintech. But I mean, the backend in general was the same. The only difference that with Docker wasn't a standard to deploy something. We used to, I mean, the using the virtual machines back then was like a very fresh thing. Anyway, considering the system design interview book, if you want to get a list of different systems and the different approaches that are used on the current backend, and you want to build a graph of things that you need to learn, I think this book, I read only the first part, so I think this book is very good for this, because after each chapter, an author gives you a ton of the links, so you can continue learning. Also, there is a last chapter that describes many things that you can learn on top. And while you're going through a case, you see a word that you don't know, you just, add it to the list of things that you need to at least read about. And that's what I did. I have a pretty long list. I think right now it's like 20-30 items on top of what I mentioned. Things I want to, like articles I want to read or read about something specific. And then again, the main thing what I can do to quickly shift into the different craft. Anyway, I would advise you to take a look at the system design interview book. I think it's short. There are lots of the visual materials there. You can read it thoroughly like in 2 weeks if you don't want to rush it. I didn't want to rush it because I actually wanted to understand each case, what are the problems, what is the solution, and try to think by myself how I would implement this, knowing all of this information. But yeah, the book is very good. Again, and maybe the last update that is connected again to the backend, I actually started to have first successful PRs on the backend. They are very small, but given the fact that I need to dig into the existing big project in a very short time, I think that's good progress. But the interesting part that it's kind of like a lost feeling because I used to be a backend engineer. I did not do like a heavy backend for a long time. By heavy, I mean like for some of the mobile applications, I used stuff like Firebase parts, which is not particular backend. Anyway, as I promised, I'm going to record the video about the CNN. The next one should be about the CNN, and I'm starting the new series on the coding channel, which is going to be about, it's going to be more backend driven because, well, it's very relevant to me. If you have suggestions to the material that I can read, watch about, so I can quickly jump into, for example, more AWS stuff or other things that commonly used currently on the backend, I would very appreciate it. Yeah, you can write me in the Discord server. By the way, you can find the link into the description. I have a Discord server, you can find me there. Or you can write something in the comments, your suggestion in the comments. Again, would really appreciate them. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I see you next time. Bye bye.